The New York Rangers, they are red hot. They have a commanding 3-0 series lead over the Carolina Hurricanes after a 3-2 overtime win in Game 3 of their second-round series on Thursday night. 7-0 start to the postseason for the Blue Shirts. It's the first time they've done that since 1994. Let's talk some Rangers hockey, and we're going to do it with the host of the Blue Crew podcast, also a host and analyst for the NHL and Daily Faceoff. My guy Jonny Lazarus joins us now from Raleigh, North Carolina. Johnny, what's going on?
Oh my God, it's been doesn't feel real, right? First of all, good to see you, Dexter, as always. And I wasn't alive in 1994. I'm a 1996 birth year, but everything I've seen and heard, it sounds like this is just an exact replica of what happened. And living in a world where the Rangers and Knicks don't lose, it's pretty unbelievable. So the vibes are high down here in Raleigh, North Carolina, and hopefully they can close this thing out on Saturday night.
Well, hey, Johnny, when you just said, woo, you had to exhale because it's been such a ride. The vibes are really good here in New York, right, around the Knicks and the Rangers. But, Johnny, if you're a Rangers fan right now, all of the games in this series with the Hurricanes have had to have you on the edge of your seat. In Game 3, Artemi Panarin, he delivers an incredible through-the-legs deflection goal to win it. How impressed were you with the Blue Shirts finding a way to win this Game 3 after losing their lead in the final 2 minutes of regulation?
Well, not only regulation last night, but the first period in that game, the Rangers didn't really have any business being in that game. It's a question I asked Pierre Laviolette in the postgame. Did you take it as a positive that the score was only 1-0 after the first period? And he wasn't happy with the way his team played, but he knew that it was exactly the pushback that they were going to get from Carolina. Listen, the Hurricanes were 15-4 on home ice in the playoffs going into that game since 2022. So they've been a really strong team on home ice at PNC Arena, and the Rangers knew they were going to have to weather a storm. Carolina outshot them 17-7 in the opening frame, but Igor Shesterkin was the difference. I mean, Rod Brindamore said it as well. Igor is all class. Every time the Rangers, or world class, excuse me, every time the Rangers had a breakdown and Carolina thought they were going to get through and beat Shesterkin, he was there to answer the bell. So, you got to credit the Rangers' big guns. Panarin scores the big overtime goal, but Lafreniere has stepped up. He has 3 goals in his last 2 games, a great feed from Panarin and a great bumper pass by Vinny Trocheck. That whole line contributed to get that second goal in the game, which was huge for them. And, a shorthanded goal as well from Chris Kreider and Mika Zibanejad. You look at this Rangers team and the whole storyline leading into the playoffs was, will the big guns show up? Can they lead them? Can they put them on their backs? And every single guy that you would look for to produce and contribute in the playoffs has not only delivered, but exceeded expectations in my mind. And, for Panarin to score that overtime goal last night, he now has 4 goals in the playoffs. All 4 are game winners. So the bread man, like you said, is delivering at the big moments.
The bread man is delivering for sure, and that's what the Rangers fans wanted to see. Wanted to talk to you about this, Johnny, because Filip Chytil, he returned to the Rangers lineup in Game 3 after not playing for 188 days following the 4th concussion of his career. What did you make of Chytil's time on the ice in his return and head coach Peter Laviolette's decision to play him over Matt Rempe in this game? What did you make of that?
Well, the decision to play him definitely came as a big surprise because when you win 6 straight games in the playoffs, you don't necessarily see coaches make any changes. You always keep the winning lineup together. But it's been talked about that Chytil, might have a shot at returning to the lineup. He's looked good in practice. He looks like he's in game shape again, but you never can really tell until you see a player in a game. And listen, we talk about NHL players all the time. When they take a week off, they look sluggish, let alone 188 days. So I thought Filip Chytil got so much better as the game went on. He had that great one-on-one opportunity where he makes a between-the-legs move on Brady Shea in the 3rd period and almost puts that puck in on his backhand. But the thing with Filip Chytil was he didn't really look uncomfortable out there, and that's so big as well. And he brings so much speed to this lineup, and I don't want to take any credit away from Rempe because he's done everything that he's been asked of. But Chytil, without a doubt, makes this team more of a threat. That third line has been fantastic all postseason long with Will Cooley, Alex Wenberg, and Capo Caco. And for Cooley to now jump to the 4th line and Filip Chytil to fill his role in the 3rd line, it just makes this team just that much deeper. So once Chytil gets comfortable, it might take him, another game or 2 to fully feel like his full self, his 100% self, because, with touches and timing and just overall comfort level, Pierre Laviolette said it today, he's jumping on a moving train, and a train that's moving very fast. So it's going to take some time and some reps to get back into it. But, it's a huge addition for the Rangers to get Chytil back and just another scoring threat that they could add to their arsenal.
Yeah, great to see him on the ice and looking comfortable, as you said there. And, Johnny, this has been an impressive start to the postseason, to say the least, for the Blue Shirts. And there's been some incredible performances by Igor Shesterkin, Vincent Trocheck, Artemi Panarin, Mika Zibanejad. You mentioned them all. But who would you say, if you had to pick one of those players, is the postseason team MVP thus far?
Oh man, that's tough. I feel like the obvious answer right now, just recency bias, would be Igor Shesterkin. But when you mix in the entire first round as well, it's tough not to say Vincent Trocheck. Trocheck is a guy that everyone has raved about the last few weeks. He touches every single part of the game. Laviolette has talked about it. He kills penalties. He plays power play. He takes faceoffs. He's out there for 6-on-5, 5-on-6. He's a vocal leader. He's a guy who leads by example. And I think having a guy like him who has also played on this Carolina Hurricanes team and understands their side of it as well is so big to have in this series. He scores the overtime goal in double overtime, in game 2, which gives them such a big 2-0 lead going into game 3. Going back to Carolina at 1-1, it's a totally different series. So that goal was probably even bigger than the Panarin goal was, I would say. And I don't know if anyone would even argue that. But, Vincent Trocheck, he's got 12 points in 7 games. And, he's really just blown everyone away, I think. And the emotion that he has as well. He has the secondary assist in the Lafreniere goal and gets in Sebastian Aho's face, with a little celebration, just kind of rubbing it in a little bit. And then, I think in game 2, I think Gensel takes the penalty on Fox where he punches him in the face, and the Rangers score, or maybe it was game 1, I'm blanking. It all kind of merges together, and Trocheck is giving him a thumbs up in the box. Like, Vinny is just doing a little bit of everything, and it's hard not to pick him, but I don't want to take anything away from any other of the guys because Zibanejad, Trocheck, Igor, they've all just been unbelievable.
Yeah, everybody's been stepping up. And like you said, the guys that people were looking at with this team to step up have done that. It was a question whether they would, and they've done that. So it's really hard to pick a team MVP. There's so many good candidates. And last thing for me, Johnny, because you've been around this Rangers team through the postseason, and look, they look as confident as ever. We've seen them win games in a variety of ways. How do you think that confidence will help this team as they look to close out this series in Game 4?
Well, I think you learn from a lot of past experiences, and it's something that I've asked the players the last couple of days, just about the maturation of the group over the last 3 years. Alexis Lafreniere talked about it, Jacob Trouba talked about it, and you have to. I've been saying this, I feel like, for 4 days now, but you have to lose sometimes in order to learn how to win, and I think this group has done that. They went to the conference final ahead of schedule back in 2022 when no one really expected them to get there. The goal that year was just to make the playoffs, and they have a 2-0 lead against Tampa. They lose 4 straight games and kind of go out, feeling pretty bad about themselves. And then last year in the playoffs, obviously, with a ton of expectation, they have a 2-0 series lead yet again, and the Devils win 4 out of the next 5 and take that series in 7. Those things kind of stick with you as a group. And now you look at guys like Lafreniere, you look at guys like Braden Schneider, Keandre Miller on the back end, Adam Fox, Ryan Lindgren, who have kind of grown into more mature veteran players. And, something that I really wanted to actually talk about was Alex Wennberg said today, last night in the room, Artemi Panarin actually stepped up and said something in the locker room. And I wanted to just read this quote quick if that's possible. But this is what Wennberg said earlier today. People maybe say he doesn't talk too much. I feel like he's a great leader, not only showing it on the ice, but in a certain situation right there. He steps up and says something in the locker room as well. There's more guys who do it, but that's what you need on a team like this. We got to pull together, and sometimes you need someone to speak up a little bit. And when we needed it most, he was one of those guys. So Artemi Panarin, who faced a lot of criticism, last year for his playoff performance going into this postseason, had a lot of pressure on him. And, it was kind of a put up or shut up playoff performance for him. And he's got, like I said, 4 game-winning goals, and now he's speaking up in the locker room, feeling a little bit more confident in himself. And that is contagious in the room. So when a guy like Panarin scores the overtime goal in a game like that, you just feel it throughout everybody in that locker room. And I think, for him to be that guy to do it, for Trocheck to have the other overtime goal, and for Shesterkin to play the way he's playing, how can you not feel super confident in your game, especially when you've won 7 games in a row?
Got to feel confident about that 7-0 start to the postseason. As we mentioned, for the Blue Shirts, they will look to close out this series with the Carolina Hurricanes on Saturday. That is Jonny Lazarus. He's the host of the Blue Crew podcast. You also see him with the NHL as a host and analyst, also for Daily Faceoff. Johnny, always good to talk to you. Hope the good vibes continue for the Rangers.
Thank you, Dexter. Same with those Knicks.
Yes, we will see if the good vibes continue for the New York teams there. Thanks again, Johnny.
Thank you.